Do you want to start a business, get out of the office, achieve happiness and success while crushing life? This is Boss to Boss, the place to be for that extra motivation to get up and follow your dreams while learning from the ones who have already done it. And now for your host, Miro Wieslow.
Welcome to Boss to Boss. Today's guest is an Emmy Award-winning producer and host of TV series Success in Your City. He is a podcaster, speaker, inventor, advisor, crowdfunding, and media expert. He is a co-host and one of two executive producers of Ambitious Adventures, a reality TV program focused on the compelling stories of young entrepreneurs across the country. In 2018, he was named one of the 7 millennial influencers by BuzzFeed, and he was featured in the movie Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy as the youngest entrepreneur story. And also, last but not least, Kevin Harrington named him one of America's next generational talents leaders. He's from the original Shark Tank. Brandon T. Adams. It's a lot of big names, a lot of footsteps to follow. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. And thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited to share some tips with your audience and give them some insight.
Yeah, and Kevin Harrington said you're America's new generational leader. That's what he said. You know what? It's the foreigner in me, even though I was born in Poland and I came at 5 years old, I still mumble things once in a while.
It's all good. That's funny. But
as long as you got a crack of it.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. When you read that off, and it makes you think. I go back in time to everything that it took to get to this point and where we're going. It's time can go fast.
Yeah, it can. So where was that kind of turning point? So before you got into the whole, production, film, what did you kind of start off with? Like, where was the quick background on that?
Yeah, so I guess I'll jump into, because I know kind of the audience that you are speaking to. I grew up in the ice business. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I'd sold packaged ice to my dad, like sold frozen water. It's crazy, actually, where you're at in Chicago. Some of the places we used to deliver like an hour and a half from where you're at.
Really?
So it's in the Midwest. It was a tri-state region. It was Iowa. It was kind of Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, so 4 states. And so got to see what it's like to deliver ice at a young age and be in a business, and the pros and cons of brick and mortar business. It was an interesting business.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I went to school. And my first year of college, I got a 1.68 GPA. I wasn't the smartest kid. I really didn't care about school. I think I just wanted to party and have fun. And it wasn't until I read a book called Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy where my mind completely changed. I was 20 or 21 at the time. It was my junior year of college, and that opened my eyes up. So I graduated college somehow, and I went back. I went into the family business selling ice, and ended up buying out my dad's business. So 5 years ago, I bought it from him, and what I realized in the book Think and Grow Rich is anything's possible. You can do big things in life. I want to do more than just sell ice. And I had actually, when I bought the business out, I took a year and a half of my life while I was running the business, but also I had worked in corporate. So I was working as a manager. At the time, I was 23 years old. And I was managing, it was about 40 or 50 employees across the state of Iowa. It was 8 locations. And I was working in distribution of packaged ice. So I did not like the corporate atmosphere. HR didn't like me very much, because sometimes I just told people exactly what they needed to hear to do their job. But in today's day and age, if you do that, sometimes you get in trouble. And so I was the manager, and I did all that work. And you're managing. Keep in mind, I was 23, and most people I was working with were twice my age.
Oh yeah.
So it was a struggle to get the respect. It took a lot of hard work. But one day I literally said, I'm not doing this anymore. I I'll never forget this. I literally got in my vehicle and I drove all the way to Omaha, Nebraska. At that time, I was somewhere in Iowa. So I drove like 3 or 4 hours.
Mhm.
I went to my so-called boss, which I didn't even like the word boss.
Love it.
And I told him, I said, I'm leaving the company. I'm going out to pursue my dream. And this is me letting you know that I'm no longer
That's
working here. I'm done. And that was it. I literally, like, within an hour, they shut off my computer. They shut off the access because I had access to everything.
Zero remorse, huh?
Yeah, well, it was funny because I had been traveling all over, and I'm like, this is going to be my last meal on the company. So I went and got a big steak dinner.
Yes.
I got this nice hotel, and I just, because I had worked, they worked me to the bone. Like I made them so much money. I worked so hard for them, and I was done. That was it. And I had no runway at the time. I had no, like, 2-3 months of runway in terms of paying my expenses. I had to figure things out. And I just went all in, and it was the best decision I ever made. And that's where I had been always an entrepreneur, but that's where it really was like the whole all in entrepreneurship for me. And that's where it began.
That's awesome. So at that time, you were still kind of like doing a little bit of entrepreneurship on the side, right? While working an actual job as well for your dad.
Yeah, keep in mind. So when I was doing entrepreneurship on the side. So I was actually running this business. I was a manager in the business and managing all these people, which is a full-time job. I was actually selling real estate on the side at my license. So like I'd get done at like 6, 7, 8 at night. I'd go show houses. And then I was during this time, and I was putting all handmade into an invention I had while also a part of the ice business. So I was doing way too many things. So yes, I was an entrepreneur at that time, but I had the corporate job, and they just thought I was crazy, which I got to the point where I worked myself into a mental breakdown. I mean, when you do 100 and 110 hour weeks and you're sleeping 4 hours a night, eventually you just snap.
So before I ask that, everybody following along, whether you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, or one of the podcast platforms, especially if you want to see, put the face to the name, make sure to follow at Brandon T. Adams. Pretty much Facebook, Instagram, those are the main two. All handles. Brandon T. Adams. You could look up, Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy film, to find them in there. You could look up Success in Your City, the Emmy winning show, and 110 hour weeks. That sounds insane. Like how are you alive?
Well, I mean, really, like I would go to bed at like 11:30 midnight, and I wake up at 4:30, and then do that every day. And I was traveling all over, and I mean, it literally led to a mental breakdown. That's when I realized, like, you got to work smarter, not harder. And I didn't want to work my life away for a company. I wanted to do it for myself.
Because you knew that you had that internal drive. You knew you were going to do it eventually, but you're like, I want something out of this, right? Like I want to grow a baby. I want to grow something, right?
The only reason I did corporate is because, one, I wanted to learn and get experience for a company at a high level. So I want to gain specialized knowledge. And I did that. And also the money helped me fund my other endeavors. But I got to the point, I'm like, dude, I can see where people get caught in the trap because they're like, the money's good, it's consistent. But I'm just like, I don't want to wake up in 5 years from now and be like, okay, I'm still in this. So I learned as much as I could. I gained a lot of knowledge, experience from it. And I left. I gained 16 months of knowledge and experience on their dime. As entrepreneurs, when we make mistakes, it's costing us a lot of money. So I was learning on their dime, getting paid, took that knowledge, and then took it to everything else I was doing after I left.
Perfect. That is something I love to talk about, and you just like hit it right on the head. You took what they gave you, and they were literally paying for everything, right? You could have taken courses, probably trainings. You were traveling, probably talking to all types of CEOs, CFOs, everywhere you were going. So what would you say though to someone like me that 2 years ago I'm sitting there miserable in my cubicle and debating, do I take that next step? Because as you know, it's not easy either way. But what would you tell that person?
What I would say to you, or I'd say to anybody in that position, is, what if you died tomorrow? I mean, would you be happy with your life, how it ended, that you sat in that damn cubicle and that was your life, that was your legacy. That literally is what the aha moment for me was, is because the day that I had the mental breakdown and the ambulance came and like, I thought I was going to die. Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
like
wow.
it literally was like, I was worked to the max. And that night I didn't know who to call. I didn't really have any friends. I was just working. I thought to myself, if that was the end of me, I would be very unhappy with what my life led to.
Wow.
So for anybody listening, like, think about it. What if you were to die tomorrow? Would you be glad like that you're doing what you're doing? Because at the end of the day, I've always found out, and then when you make the leap, when you go all in on something else what you really love, you always figure it out. You just have to take the leap. And it's very hard when you have a lot of obligations, things go on. Again, look if this was your last day, if you had 1 year to live, would you be doing what you're doing now? 99% of the people probably wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So they just need that kick in the ass to tell them like, hey, just go do it. And it's easier said than done, but I've done it. I've experienced it. I've helped other people do it. You just got to do it. Life is way too short not to.
Would you say there is a recipe before you can take the leap? Because some, I have a lot of heated arguments about this, that you need to have so and so, lined up, all these different streams of income. You need to have this kind of already going, because otherwise you're going to crash and burn. And what's your recipe for that?
Yeah. So I kind of took the route of just doing it and figuring it out. But yeah, for most people, I would say do some research and actually see what other options you can do. Like, what ways can you make money? Ideally, have some runway, have 3 to 6 months of cash built up to make your payments, so you can figure out how to do something. Or maybe even you're doing a side job that isn't corporate. It's a side job that will help you gain knowledge in the area you want to do on your own, which is actually worth it. I mean, say you want to go start your own coffee shop.
Yeah.
Heck, I would go and work at a couple coffee shops to learn from them, get paid, and work on your own coffee shop. Like an example like that, work in the industry in the area that you want to do yourself, so you can gain that knowledge, make some money, and go closer to your goals.
So that's an interesting way of looking at it. How do you now, as being like in the opposite side of this, how do you prevent someone from coming in and kind of taking advantage of you by coming in and right away they're strictly here to kind of just learn, be here for 6 months and gone?
Yeah, I've been through many experiences around that. Here's my thing.
Curveball.
I don't really don't like to think of competition. I like to help people, and sometimes I've been wrong, and maybe I've collaborated with that kind of turned me wrong or went and did different things. But I always try to look at the positive, everything in terms of, okay, we're helping each other. At the end of the day, I'm always going to succeed in my own way.
Yeah.
And I like to help other people succeed. So helping them get on their path, and the right people, like there's some people that still I collaborate with today that worked with me, interned with me, and I helped them, and they went on and do their own things, but we still collaborate. So I don't look at it that way. I'm not like afraid like, oh, somebody's going to like take everything they got and run with it. At the end of the day, there's only one me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do things my way. And it's a big world. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So I don't really worry about that. But the biggest thing is not getting people that have a negative, like a way of like, okay, you can tell like they just want to take stuff from you and then go. Usually I see that early on. I mean, I haven't always seen it early on, but usually I do now.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm sure there must have been some experience or some mistake, right? Something that happened.
There's always the mistake, man. Like, that's how we learn. If you're not making mistakes, you're not making enough decisions. I make them every day.
It's a good way to look at
it. And the people that are the seasoned entrepreneurs, the Kevin Harringtons or the other known entrepreneurs of our time, they've made way more mistakes than every one of us. And because they made those mistakes, they learned what not to do. And now, because they're the experts and they have those expertise, that's why they get these big advisory deals. This is why they get paid a lot of money, because they can help you get to where you want to go quicker.
Exactly. So they make the mistakes for us so we don't have to, right?
Yes. I mean, that is it. Sometimes you have to experience it for yourself.
Was there one that you had to, like, there was that turning point? You're like, oh man, like I'm here on my ass, but I had to do this. I had to.
Oh, plenty of times. I mean, so many. I don't even know where to begin. Like where I just had to do it. I mean, I'll give you last week or 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. I went to Netflix. I didn't have a meeting lined up, and I was trying to get a hold of Netflix. And I got tired of trying to go through all these gatekeepers. And I said, screw it. I'm just going to show up to Netflix. And I showed up, and I didn't get a meeting, but I did promote it on social media, what I was doing to let people know, like, I'm all in. Netflix turned me away. They very, in a nice way, escorted me out. They're like, hey, you don't have a meeting. I'm like, well, I traveled. I literally flew here to do this meeting. And long story short, because the power of social media, tens of thousands of people saw what I did. And I had a lot of people reach out, which led to some really close opportunities to getting to the Netflix and other networks. So that was one of the best things I did. Now, I went all in. I had to learn. I had to do it. At the end of the day, if the worst case scenario would have happened, it was one of those things I had to do it. I just knew I had to. So I've had that happen in my life. And I don't want to be the what if. What if I would have did that?
So you're telling me you bought a ticket, you didn't have a meeting, you went there, and you wanted to make a meeting, essentially.
That's exactly what I did. I mean, I even sent them personal packages. My wife and I sent them personal packages a week before, which they received. Like, I let them know, like, I was coming. And I'm like, hey, I have a meeting with so-and-so. And they're like, or I said, I'm here to see this person. They're like, do you have a meeting? I said, no, but they know I'm coming. They got my package. They're like, well, I can't have you see them. I'm like, I traveled all over the country to see them. Can I please get a meeting with them? They know I'm coming. They said no. I said, okay, is there anybody else here in this department that could have a meeting with me? They said no. Oh. I said, can I go over here and email them and let them know I'm here? They're like, yes. Within 5 minutes, somebody came down. He asked me what I was doing, and he escorted me out. So there, I did it. I experienced it. But I will tell you, a lot of people on social media, like there were some people that said I was at that job, my career was over.
Really?
Like it's the end. Oh, yeah, I had a lot of hate. People in the industry that said that's not how you do things. Oh. How do you do things? We're in a world where things are done differently every day.
Exactly.
So they thought I was nuts, and on their end, people thought I was a genius. Long story short, it doesn't matter what they think because it got me a lot closer to my goal. And I was a little scared doing that. I thought, okay, part of me is like, and is my career over? But it wasn't. And you just got to take those leaps of faith. It's just like you're leaving your job. Yeah. I bought a plane ticket, literally went there and showed up. And I just did it. When you take those leaps, things happen. The world works in mysterious ways. You take a leap of faith in your job and you go on your own thing, things happen. Yeah. You just got to do it sometimes. It's hard in the moment, but once you do it, you'll feel, I'm so glad I did what I did.
I could feel that. I could like relate to certain moments in my life, like just based on how you were talking. It's crazy. And now you're not going to stop, right? You're probably going to still keep reaching out to them. You're probably still going to keep going after it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been reaching out by email to all the main executives. I mean, I'm getting closer and closer. I mean, we're going to succeed.
It's a matter of time.
It's not even a question. It's just a matter of who's going to be on our side in the process of making it happen, who that person will be rewarded the most.
Yes.
And who's going to be the place where we go. So we'll succeed. It's just a matter of when and how.
Awesome. I like that, right? You're not putting any limitation on it at all. It's going to happen. It's the think and grow rich way of thinking, right?
That book is my life, man. That's literally like, if you want anything out of this, for anybody, the best advice, go read that book because that book will change how you think. Study that book. I've read it a dozen times. It's the book to getting whatever you want in life. It's proven. And
was that like that book? You actually do read it that many times, huh? You've read it that many times over and over? Like,
I've listened to it. I've read it. I mean, I've been reading it for 8 years now.
Wow. Isn't it crazy that one book could kind of define and change so many people? And now, like what James said in his interviews, it's almost unbelievable. And now your series is sort of taking it to another level as well with success in your series. Is there going to be like another? Are you guys working on another part 2 and all that?
So
all that in the works.
So the first step is getting distribution for season 1. and getting out there and doing premieres in each city that we actually filmed in.
Yes.
And then we have a plan for events. And then through that, once that deal's done, is to go into season 2 to create evergreen, recurring thing that happens. So it's a show, it's education. This has been a dream of mine for a while. Awesome. I had filmed the show Ambitious Adventures, which was a success, and that was a great learning experience. I've done a lot of other filming projects. I've helped people raise money. I feel like everything I've done is built up to this point to where I'm at now, and I've got to learn from making mistakes, doing things right. And I mean, the movie Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy, I use the principles of Think and Grow Rich to even be a part of that team. I mean, I helped raise $370,000 for the film. I got to be in the movie, like, add value. When you add massive value and you're persistent and you keep showing up, you will always succeed. Nobody will beat you. Like, you just got to keep going. A lot of people quit. They don't see results in our world. They want to see results now. They want to see it in 3 months, 6 months. It might take you 2-3 years. Yeah. But if you stick with it, you get the 3 to 5 year mark, you're going to see some big results. You just got to get through that threshold.
What if you're going at it for 5 years and you still see nothing?
Just keep going. Steve Harvey was 36. I was listening to some on him. Mm-hmm. Steve Harvey is a big Think and Grow Rich fan. At 36, he was homeless. He was living on his car. He was about to throw in the towel, and then he had a break. And it took him a good 50 years before he really started to see his. Yeah, but now he's like, look, he's like everywhere. Yeah, and that's just an example. You just have to keep going. Why give up? Why give up? Throw in the towel and go live a normal life and say you settled. Exactly.
Well, I mean, plenty of people will do that no matter what. They could hear whatever they hear, and at the end of the day, it's your choice. You got to own up to it, and you'll get as much as you put in. That's for sure. All right, Brandon. Well, everybody, make sure to check out Brandon T. Adams, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, pretty much anywhere you could think of. Brandon T. Adams. Check out his show, Success in Your City. And now on to our listeners' favorite segment of the show.
Welcome to the round with no name, because they're all taken.
But I like to think it's the listener's favorite. I don't really know. It's my favorite, but it's just because I get to throw weird questions at you. And I mean, very, very, very legit questions, actually, because we're going to make sure you think hard here. So you get 5 seconds to initiate an answer. Just throw something out. Otherwise, my producer, he lurks in the background, and they call him the leg breaker for a reason. I like my legs. I don't want to have to deal with them. Without further ado, what is your favorite book?
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
I could have guessed that. Man, I should ask something else. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie is Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy.
He didn't. We were betting on it if you were going to do it that way, and you did. Oh, man, I'm going to owe something. Who is or has been your greatest mentor?
Jack Barringer was my first great mentor, and Kevin Harrington has become another one.
Do you feel that entrepreneurism is a fad?
In a way, yes and no. A lot of people are going to fail because I think entrepreneurship is cool. I think it's a way to make money, but honestly, only about 0.5% of the population can actually do entrepreneurship. In a way it is, but it'll always be here. It's created our foundation of this country.
You're stranded on an island for the unforeseeable future. What is the one item you want with you?
Fire. I want fire. I want a lighter.
That is a boss to boss exclusive, everybody. No one's ever said that. What would you do with this fire?
I would start a fire because I don't need a knife. I can find other ways to kill things to eat. I just need a fire because I don't want to have to do the old chipping and do the sparks. I need a fire. Give me a lighter.
You would constantly have to keep it going, though, right? As long as it's lit, you just got to keep bringing wood.
Yeah, as long as I got the thing that start that fire.
Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. All right, you know what? I like that. That's a totally different way of thinking. What is the one item that you carry around with you every day, or something that you must drink or eat every single day because it makes you?
Oh, the phone. but wait, what do I drink or eat? Water.
Like, what thing? Water? Specific kind of water?
Just plain old water.
Plain old water, the good kind. How do you drink your coffee?
I drink it black.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes a red eye with some espresso.
You know what they say, right? If you drink it black. You know what they say?
What?
According to a study by the HuffPost, that there's a good chance you might show some psychotic tendencies. So
I mean, that's true. I've been called psychotic before.
okay, good, because I drink black coffee too, so I don't mind saying it. I'm not offended. I hope you're not either. If you had an unlimited amounts of money and you could start up any business you want, it can't be anything you're doing though, what would it be?
Oh, that's tough. Actually, I'm not doing it now, but I want to do in the future is do apartment complexes so I can show all these people that suck at doing it how it should be done.
Oh man, we should like post that up online, and then one day when you're doing it, we're gonna like take you back, be like, hey, remember that day? Remember that day?
Yeah.
And boom, you're gonna have to prove them all wrong. Actually, man, we gotta keep you accountable on that. I'm gonna wait when you like have a gold mine and you're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna be like, just remember this video you played.
It'd probably happen in 5 years.
Now, most importantly, how do you feel about socks and sandals?
That's weird. You don't do it. It just doesn't go.
Seriously?
Awkward. Yeah.
What would you do if I showed you that I was wearing some right now?
I'd be like, dude, you're weird.
Yes, dude, yeah, this is the same answer I just got back to back. I want to say Steve Sims. He's the one. He said the same answer. He's like, dude, I don't even think I would talk to you anymore.
That's funny.
It was great. But hopefully one day I could walk around and it's accepted. You know, that'd be nice.
Someday.
But
On Mars.
You know what? You survived. I survived. We're both here. My producer didn't show up, so we're good. Everybody, that's at Brandon T. Adams everywhere, online, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. Check out Success in Your City. And most importantly, the mic is all yours, Brandon. Final thoughts for our listeners before we head out.
Yeah, your thoughts become things. Be careful how you think. You can think positive or negative. I pick positive every time, no matter what's going on in my life. And whatever your mind conceives and believes your mind achieves, and whatever you think about, the most you become. So the thoughts that you actually have in your mind can become a reality. So be careful what you think about. Be careful what you consume your mind with. And if you stick with something long enough, you eventually will find success. So just keep going.
That is deep. Mic drop. Done. Brandon T. Adams, it's been a pleasure to have you on. We'll definitely, I definitely look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, buddy.
That is all for this episode of Boss to Boss. Your next step is to visit bosstoboss.com, where you will find proven techniques followed by professionals to help you make that next step. Again, that is boss2boss.com. And remember, the time is now.